Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to SafeDefend Live. I got to ask you a question before you get started today. Are you watching the news? Are you seeing the amount of hate and horrible things going on in the world? If you're at a private school, your kids are at a private school in the United States and it has a religious background, are you concerned about your kids and what might happen to them with at school? People are going crazy. There's more hate in the world today than I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've been around the sun a couple of times. The question I have for you, Jeff, as a founder of SafeDefend, is how can we get these teachers trained and prepared for the worst case scenario? I mean, in the last 2 weeks, we had a man pour gas on people because of their religion and set them on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? This is America.
Well, I think one of the I don't know if I'd call it a shift, because I don't think we've moved out of just the generic mass casualty type situations, but targeted events are becoming more and more commonplace, and becoming much more of a threat than they had been in the past. And in many cases, especially when you're talking about a school shooting situation, that's someone that's just wanting to do as much damage as possible, send a message, and
Yep.
Go out famously in some cases. It's not so much an event targeted because they're 6-year-olds or because they're at a public school. It's an easy target. What's really interesting, as far as a shift right now, is how much of these violent episodes are targeting specific, especially religious institutions or members of certain religions. And it really isn't discounted by, we're seeing a lot in the Jewish community right now, but it's not just in that community. It is, religion is a target across the board. Someone feels that just about any religion has wronged them or goes against their principles and beliefs, and are really making any religion a target right now. It's crazy.
Well, the concern for me, and this is where your expertise comes in, is most schools do not train their teachers. They're not prepared for this incident. They think it's never going to happen, right? We talk about this all the time.
Yep.
If I had my children still in schools, I would be screaming from the top of the mountain.
Yep.
What are we doing to train our teachers? Is there training for our teachers that will help them avert or see or alert us to something that's going wrong? Our schools doing threat assessments? Our schools leveraging technology to see things before they happen? And unfortunately, I think there's going to be a big target on our private schools out there because of the type of people that go to school there, their background, their foundational beliefs. No matter what religion supports the school.
Correct.
This is agnostic. I mean, every religion is getting poked at right now, no matter what it is.
Correct.
And if you are in a place where you put a bunch of people with the same beliefs in the same place, they are a target for people that have lost their freaking minds.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we talked about this previously. The world is not getting less crazy in any capacity. Day to day, it seems to be amplifying. And your original question is, are schools, utilizing technology, utilizing training, really taking all the precautions they need to be taking? The answer is some, but
most are.
Yeah,
right.
But not most. Some are. Some are. I would say most are doing something. Whether it's effective or not, that's really a debate for evaluating what they put in place. But most are still way underprotected. Private schools were kind of off the radar for these types of situations for a long time. Not anymore.
Nope.
And so, and although religious based, I do feel that's a higher threat than just a private school choice that a parent makes, just to choose not to get sent to public school. But just even in general, private schools are really, I think their threat level has got to be amped up. And I think you really need to be, no matter what level or what background or foundation your private school supports, and the people that go there to that school for those certain reasons, your threat level has got to be up, and you really need to be now taking steps to say, hey, we've got to be better prepared than ever. You know, in many cases, better prepared than public schools.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say threat level is a good term. I would say your awareness level, right?
Yeah, sure.
We all need to be. We need as parents, we need to help our administrations, understand that there is a threat. It is a rising threat based on secular thought, based on independent people having grievances against certain types of people, and we have to be aware. And if we're not aware, we're being foolish. And when we see things that happen, that should be okay. What are we doing to prevent this from happening to our kids at our school? Is there something in place to train the teachers? Do we have a notification system? Does it work? Right? Does it do our police officers see it as a good fit to help them lessen fog when things happen and bring clarity to a situation so it can be resolved quickly?
One of our great partners on the security side is the Jewish Community Center here in Kansas City.
Yep.
And, SafeDefend is one of their many layers. They are very proactive in protecting everybody that comes into that building, from their security detail to all the other layers that they put in place. And they ran a drill recently this spring. I just recently had talked with their security director, and he said one of the things that was most impactful for all of the members of that community center and then the school there was how fast the notification went out. Law enforcement they could hear sirens shortly after even though it was a drill, they could hear the sirens shortly after setting the system off, and they were heading that way. The law enforcement was still coming, even though it was a drill, and that was comforting.
Absolutely.
And that was knowing that they have a system in place that's going to get help there as soon as possible, to a group that is very targeted right now. And so their level of safety, security, comfort substantially increased just by having SafeDefend in place, as one of their primary layers of security and safety. So, we really can bring that level of security, comfort, support. We can't stop living our lives. We want to send our kids to schools that align with our beliefs and our foundation. And so being able to still do that, but knowing you're sending them somewhere safe, somewhere secure, that's what SafeDefend brings to the table, is an effective solution that's going to make a difference, God forbid, if something happens.
Yeah, and for all the parents out there, I know we all have concerns, but do your part. Hold your administration accountable. Hold your school accountable for whatever solution they have.
Right.
But they need three things, and this is what you need to ask them: how are we preparing our teachers to identify threats before they happen? How are we preparing our teachers what drills are we doing to ensure our students are safe? And what training do our teachers have to secure the children in a safe place until police arrive? Finally, next is, what is our notification system, and how does it work? Is it a notification system that's designated to notify you of everything that goes wrong, or is it specifically for a targeted violent attack? Because there's a difference,
Absolutely.
and you have to understand that. And then finally, what tools do our teachers have to protect themselves and defend the threshold? Those are the three things you need to ask about.
Absolutely. And I'll leave it with this. The public school mass shooting scenarios, it's about a 95% chance that it's somebody that's very either supposed to be in that building or is very familiar with that building. When you start talking private schools, especially with a religious background or foundation in that private school, I haven't seen statistics recently, but I guarantee your threats outside of your school population are going to be increasing versus an all internal threat. So you need to be able to address an internal threat, but you need to be prepared for something that is coming from the community that you may not even know is targeting your school. So how do you address that, and how do you prepare for that?
Yeah, I'll leave it with this. For those of you that are doing it right, your security officers out there that are doing it right, thank you. I want to thank you for taking the time and being thoughtful and making sure the kids under your guidance are protected. And for those of you that aren't, or you have holes in your system, you need to ask those questions. We got to stop living in a Pollyannic world where we think nothing's going to happen to me. We have to be aware, and we have to do what's right for our kids.
Absolutely.
So with that, and this fun, So Much Hate episode, Jeff and Dave, we are out of here.
Take care.